Exotic Stevie here.
Aquarium of the Day began when two male employees were assigned by a veterinarian named Karen to prepare for an anesthetic injection. Karen intends to inject the drug into a giant octopus that exhibits aggressive behavior in captivity. The behavior of the giant octopus is even more aggressive, and it tries to attack Karen. The giant octopus then managed to knock out by bounce with one of its tentacles. Then with lightning speed, the giant octopus crawled up from its captivity and killed the two employees. The scene then changed by showing various types of marine animals in a giant aquarium. This park is a special tourist spot for marine life that has not yet operated because it is still under-maintained. A scientist named Miranda is researching in her room. Miranda seemed surprised by her findings in the study. Not long after, Miranda's assistant, Joe, came to see her. Miranda asked Joe to stay in her room while she went to confirm her findings. Miranda then went to the aquarium caretaker named Daniel. The man takes care of the marine animals, including providing food supplies. Daniel was on a video call on his laptop when Miranda came to his room. It turned out that Daniel was communicating with a veterinarian who suggested he burn the food supplies because they contained a substance that was harmful to the animals. The doctor claimed that the animals that had already eaten the food showed unnatural reactions and tended to be aggressive. But Daniel does not believe in this because it has not been proven. He ignored her and went around the aquarium to feed the animals with his partner, Skylar. On the other hand, Miranda welcomed the arrival of an important investor named Bailey, who came to the recreation park with his assistant Beth. The two of them were going to do a site survey. Meanwhile, Dr. Karen, who managed to escape from the giant octopus, re-enters the aquarium to warn Miranda and the others. Because she couldn't find Miranda, Karen then went to the head of the security supervisor named Clue. Karen and Clue go straight to the scene where they found the bodies of two employees who the giant octopus killed. They also found the sticky mucus of the octopus on the two corpses. Clue then called her assistant named Christina via walkie-talkie and told her to patrol the entire recreation area to find the giant octopus, who had ran away somewhere. Karen then returned to the aquarium and finally met Miranda, who was walking down the halls of the aquarium with Bailey and his assistant. Karen told the incident about the octopus who turned aggressive and attacked her and killed two employees. Suddenly, the animals in the giant aquarium began to show strange behavior and tried to break the giant aquarium glass. The animals turned out to be aggressive and very strong, until the aquarium glass broke, and gallons of water gushed out to fill the aisles of the recreation park and feed the marine life. Miranda and the others immediately fled from there. Elsewhere, Clue and Christy, who had been searching for the giant octopus, grew panicked and confused by the sudden power outage. It turns out that the power outage is an automatic system that will occur if there is a leak in the aquarium so that no one is electrocuted. However, the impact of the power outage then closed some access to and from the aquarium location because it uses automatic doors. Christy, who separated from Clue, ran to the aquarium to save herself. Unfortunately, a sea animal attacked her. Meanwhile, Joe was in Miranda's room. He didn't realize that there was a dolphin who had been infected with the poisonous food. The dolphin's eyes turned white. Joe also found the same sticky mucus that Clue and Karen had found. Miranda and the others finally arrived at a room and went in there to avoid the attacks of the sea animals. Bailey and his assistant then tried to call the police, but their cell phones were left in the car. Miranda and Karen are grateful for this because they don't want this issue to be heard by the police to avoid bankruptcy. Meanwhile, Clue is already in the control room, which still has backup power. Miranda and the others then left the room to look for Clue, but as they walked down the halls of the giant aquarium, they heard the growl of a saltwater crocodile heading toward them. Miranda and the others went into hiding. At that moment, Miranda realized that the crocodile's eyes had turned white. Karen then said that the animals had contracted infections similar to zombies, so that their behavior became aggressive, brutal, and uncontrollable. Elsewhere, Daniel and Skylar look confused because they can't enter the giant aquarium because the access is locked. They then argue to find a way to open the door, but in the middle of their argument, Daniel is suddenly attacked by a giant spider crab. Luckily, Skylar rushed to save him, although the crab also attacked him. Back in the aquarium, Miranda and the others were so focused on the big and dangerous marine animals that they didn't notice the tiny marine life like starfish. The tiny sea creature had suddenly clung to the walls and floor, even to the coat Karen was wearing. The tiny animal managed to make Miranda and the other panic. After trying to open the door with an axe, Daniel and Skylar finally made it inside through the engine room. They are very curious about what is really going on in the aquarium. On the other hand, Miranda contacts Clue via walkie-talkie and asks her how to turn the power back on so they can all get out of there. Clue then said that electricity could be turned on again by turning on the generator manually. Miranda began to make plans to go to the generator room to turn on the electricity and determine which path they would take to avoid the dangerous sea creatures. On the other hand, Beth didn't seem to notice that a starfish had slipped in her notebook. After deliberation, they finally decided to head to the generator room through the air vent. After walking down the air vent and moving to another room, Miranda and the others finally met Daniel and Skylar. When they entered Miranda's room to look for something, how shocked everyone was to see Joe, who had become a corpse due to being attacked by the infected dolphin. Daniel then admits that he did not obey the words of the female doctor who advised him to burn the food supply and still give it to the animals. Miranda was furious with Daniel, because his carelessness and stupidity had caused great trouble for the recreation park. Miranda didn't want to argue further with Daniel and refocused on their plan to turn on the electricity generator. The 6 of them then went back down the halls of the giant aquarium because that was the only way to get there. However, they have not gone any further because they faced with dangerous sea creatures that have been infected. They were surrounded by a sea lion and saltwater crocodile they had seen earlier. Without thinking, Skylar immediately took a bold step by attacking the sea lion. Unfortunately, because of his carelessness, he died eaten by the sea lion. Miranda and the rest then escaped from there. In the next hallway, they were confronted by sharks lying on the floor. They stepped carefully so as to not wake the sharks. Miranda and 4 others managed to get past the sharks, but when Karen was about to pass the last shark, her leg was suddenly pounced on by a shark. Luckily, Daniel immediately killed the shark and Karen was rescued. But luck was not on Clue's side, who was in the room alone because she met the giant octopus crawling on the ceiling and preying on her. When she arrived in the other room, Beth suddenly felt weak and collapsed. After being examined, it turned out that there was a starfish attached to her body. The starfish sucked all the nutrients in her body that made her feel weak and died. Bailey, who was still in shock because of the death of his assistant, turns out to have to suffer the same fate when a giant octopus appeared from the ceiling and preys on him. Miranda, Daniel, and Karen finally make it to the generator room. Daniel is in charge of taking care of Karen, whose leg was injured by the shark. Miranda then tried to find the location of the main generator to turn on the electricity. The plan sounds easy, but in reality, they still have to do their best to avoid the giant octopus attacks that kept stalking them wherever they go. After struggling hard to avoid the giant octopus attack, Miranda finally managed to find the main generator and turn on the electricity so that the entire system in the recreation park returned to normal. Miranda could even anticipate the movement of the octopus and managed to kill it with an electric shock from a broken cable. In the end, Miranda and Karen couldn't help but call the police to report everything that happened at the recreation park. Not long after, the police and paramedics began to arrive. Miranda, who had harbored her anger at Daniel from the start, finally vented it and punched him until his nose bled. The film ends. Like and subscribe for more videos.